What's up, Cavs fans? Spencer German, Spencer Davies here with you at Rocket Arena. We're in the media room today. We decided to make it easy on ourselves and just do it in here instead of going out to the court. After the Cavaliers took down the Orlando Magic 114-98 tonight, a number of things we certainly want to get to, including, another brilliant performance by Donovan Mitchell. It feels like we could be a broken record saying that pretty much every single night, but he was phenomenal. Some other key players contributing as well. We'll get to all those things and more, but first I do want to remind you to make sure you head on over to CavsRoundtable.com. Find any of our written content over there. I'm working on a story about the Cavaliers being back, maybe, potentially. Certainly feels that way. We're going to talk about that here as well. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can find more content like this. And, of course, post-game press conferences from anybody every single night. Kenny Atkinson spoke tonight. Some players, Jalen Tyson, Donovan Mitchell, and in the locker room we got Evan Mobley. So make sure you check all that out as well. But Spence, I actually kind of think I want to start with let's start with Donovan Mitchell because his brilliance has been on display this whole season. Kenny kind of said his mind is blown that he's not being talked about more in the MVP conversation for what he's done for this team this year. And I think that's a very fair stance to have because he has been everything this team has needed him to be on any given night. And that's not always, by the way, him just being like the scorer. Sometimes it is being the facilitator. Sometimes it is just handling the ball. But with a team that's been as banged up as this Cavs team has been, with a team that's had the struggles that they've had and trying out different lineups with a lot of young guys and trying to sort of find their way, he has put the cape on in a number of different ways when they needed him to. Tonight, that looked like 45 points and just a brilliant night shooting 15 of 25 from the floor to help get this team over the top to take two in a row against the Orlando Magic and win their fourth in a row. But man, oh man, like I know we could go on and on and on about Donovan on any given night, but it has been remarkable to watch how he contributes to this team and that he does it in different ways. Just whatever he's called to do, he rises to that challenge.
I think that honestly, the way that he's getting to his spots is really starting to come around now. Sometimes it's that time where he goes and tries to drive an attack, and other times he's gonna pull up from three, he's gonna spot up from three, whatever it may be. Kenny said that his shot selections got a lot better throughout the season as well when he's doing this scoring Herculean effort stuff where, like you said, putting on the cape, the Superman cape, anything you want to call it. But he has been everything that a superstar exemplifies, and I think it kind of will parlay into our next subject when we get to Jalen Tyson. But sticking on Donovan Mitchell tonight, especially just the way that he got to the hole was excellent. And he's splitting double teams, rejecting screens, whatever it is to get to the cup. Got to the line. I think he was 10 of 12 from the free throw stripe. You have the way that he started from three in the first half, had 26 points, ended up starting off the third quarter just on fire. I thought for sure he was getting a 50 ball.
I looked at you, I said, he's going for 50 tonight, huh? And you said, yep.
Donovan in the locker room, he's like, dang, I should have had 50. But it was cool to see that he's able to do it in different ways. It's not just the 3-point line. It's not just the cup. It is a mixture of that. And then when you're able to do that on the ball and then guys start sending 2, 3 at you, whatever it is, then that's where you get your teammates involved. And that's why Evan Mobley started to come along a little bit because they're getting the ball out of his hands and into Evans. They're getting the ball out of his hands and into Jalen's. And guys are starting to touch it more. And when you touch it more, that means that they're going to have more confidence because they're going to get reps. Yeah. And that leads to everybody being on the same page. And I think that's big time for this Cavs team, that they feel like they've been playing a gritty brand of basketball, and they've won 6 out of their last 7, 11 out of their last 15. They're
4 in a row.
4 in a row. They're, I think, 5th in the Eastern Conference coming into today. I don't know what that's going to be after this game, but they're in a seat where they can see themselves getting up to that upper echelon in the Eastern Conference, which is exactly what you want, especially for the way that they started. This team was dead and buried, according to a lot of people. And I think that it's starting to come back around. I think roles are starting to be defined a little bit, even amongst the injuries. Still haven't had Sam around, still haven't had DG around. Max has yet to make his debut, but they're finding ways to win. And I think also and this isn't anything to take away from them, I think the schedule's lightened up a little bit. Not just in terms of competition, but in terms of less 3 games in 4 nights, less 5 games and 7-day stretches, which I think helps a lot. Yeah. Because I think this is the first 3 and 4 that they've had in a while with Friday, Saturday, and tonight. I don't think they've had a 3 and 4 in a couple weeks. So it's been good to see, I think, that they're able to kind of get their bodies right, get acclimated, but also define those roles, know where your spots are defensively. And now that they're getting stops, they're getting on in transition. They're looking for each other. Favorite play of the game, I think, was in the 4th quarter. Tyrese Proctor strips Wendell Carter, ends up sprinting to the corner. Donovan Mitchell ends up with the ball in his hands, driving the lane, kicks it out to Tyrese for a 3, buries it. Like that's a perfect example of where this Cavs team is going right now. And it's a good sign.
I wanted to kind of save that part of it for later, but since no, you're okay. because you went there, I think it's worth talking about. Like the idea that, listen, early in the season, we know what the struggles were. They were highlighted. People were calling them out every single night. And I'm not saying they're a perfect team yet. They don't even have a number of guys playing as you highlighted. But the way I would describe it is, I think early in the season, up until even January, this team was finding ways to lose games. It was up 17 against the Knicks and you blow the lead late. It was just sloppy play, guys not making shots. It was bad shot luck. It was all these different factors. And now you're seeing a team that, by the way, is still very shorthanded, and they're finding ways to win games. And that to me is the mark of a good team. Whatever your expectations are for them, I get it. Maybe they've changed because of how the season's gone. They obviously had championship aspirations when the season started. Vegas, whatever sports book you want to use, whichever one you prefer. We won't shiny out until we get an official sponsor here on the show that we can shout out an individual one. But whatever sports book you want to use, the Cavs are one of the favorites, if not the favorite in the Eastern Conference to come out of the East to represent the East in the finals. So all those things are true. But whatever your expectations are, like, the mark of a good team is, when you got guys injured, when things don't always go in your way, when you have a bad night and you're not shooting well, you turn the ball over a bunch, you find ways to win. And that's what this team, I think, of late is doing a lot more of. They don't have Darius Garland out there. They don't have Sam Merrill out there. Guys are playing sloppy. DeAndre Hunter's, his struggles have been well documented. But they keep finding ways to get over the top. Sometimes getting over the top is just Donovan Mitchell taking over, and you don't want that to become too common of a theme. But right now, for like where they're at, Donovan even said this the other day, it doesn't matter what the wins look like right now. They just got to win basketball games. And I think that's what is so important right now is before they weren't even doing that. Didn't matter if they were winning pretty, winning ugly. They weren't even really winning. Now they're winning, and it doesn't really matter what it looks like. They're finding ways to get it done. And that stuff does matter come playoff time. You just hope that they get these guys back, and then they can kind of be that flowing machine again. But it feels like their identity from last year, because they were doing the same thing last year. The 15-game win streaks like that they went on. All those games weren't always pretty, but they found a way to win, and they're back to doing that now.
They are back to doing that now, and luckily this isn't college football, so it's not going to matter. Like, the committee is not going to pick where they finish. Yeah. It's going to be the standings, and that's what they are going to be. It's going to be what it is. And I think coming into today, they were less than 3 games out from the Boston Celtics. I think it was 2, actually. It was 2 games coming into today for the 2nd seed. So if you think about where we are right now as January starts to come to a close, I think that's right where you want it. And then you're going to be going into the All-Star break. And then that's when the guys are going to start coming back. And that's when I think is going to be another adjustment period. That's almost going to be like the beginning of the season. Honestly, post All-Star break, when you get Max back, I'm assuming when you get Darius Garland back and when you get, Sam Merrill back into the picture.
Sam should be back here soon, it sounds like.
Yeah, Sam should be back here soon. And, Darius Garland, honestly, could be back sooner than later because he's in his reevaluation period now. He's not back yet, but probably trending in the right direction from a minor toe. So that is a good thing, but they're going to have that ramp up period again because now they're starting to figure out the style they want to play with this iteration of the team. Now you're going to have kind of this newer iteration of the team if things are going to be going to ramp up to the postseason.
It's not like new, but it's like
It is
how
new.
do you
It is new.
reintroduce these guys into
Yeah.
a system that they were already part of now that these other guys have defined rules?
And then you have to have those tough conversations with some guys who have been in the rotation that are probably going to be out of the rotation.
Yeah.
Think about that. Like, that's a hard conversation to have. They're going to
Speaking of that, there were some weird lineups tonight.
Yeah.
Because the bench was so short-handed. At one point, Kenny had out there Tyrese Proctor, Larry Nance Jr., Lonzo Ball, Nae'Qwan Tomlin, and who am I missing? Oh, Craig Porter Jr.
Yep.
And it was like, who's your scorer?
Yep.
Who scored? And it did not go well. I think that unit scored like 2 points. I think it was like an 8-2 run or something like that, or a 10-2 run for Orlando.
That was the first.
And it was not pretty, but like, it's just kind of like we're trying to figure out a way to manage these games and keep guys fresh and whatever. But you're right, like, because of these instances that Kenny Atkinson's trying to navigate, guys have already sort of settled into roles, and you're going to have to figure out how they fit when then other guys come back.
Right. And I'm thinking, like, prime example, Nae'Qwan Tomlin. He played 23 minutes tonight. That was the sixth most minutes on the team. That is huge. He's going to be a part of this rotation. Don't forget, too, that his two-way contract's going to be coming up here soon. So we're going to see probably a conversion in the coming, weeks, whatever it may be, because he's been vital to the energy, the grit that Kenny was referring to in the post-game conference, because that's become their identity almost, is the way that they've been winning ugly. They've been winning ugly as of late. And like you said, it's about finding a way. I think that overcoming turnovers has also shown that they're able to do that, because they have been giving it away plenty, which makes sense with the young guys playing. Jalen Tyson kind of stares down his targets sometimes, is a little bit off on the timing, trying to get the ball to Donovan. But that's okay. Those are going to happen. As long as the aggressive turnovers and they're in the right mind frame, I think that's okay. It's the ones where you're trying to force passes into the wrong crevice, or if you're trying to split a double or triple team and you're not Donovan Mitchell, like that. Those are the ones where you got to be careful. Or if you're not strong enough with the ball, too, because that happens with Evan and Jarrett sometimes, is they'll be in the paint, back to basket, or they'll have it and they'll have the ball here, and other teams will try to rip it away because that's just in the scout. But you've got to make sure that you're possessing the ball, you have more possessions, and you win the possession game, because that's what's going to ultimately get you more bites at the apple. And the Cavs do a good job of that. Their offensive rebounding has been better as of late. It's been a huge tool for them. And I think that they've been doing a good job in the physicality box as well, to be honest.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I think Evan had another strong performance tonight. A sort of consecutive games now for him, a series of them here where he has just been willing to attack, wanting to attack, off ball, getting him the ball where he can kind of get downhill, get to the rim. He did knock down a 3 tonight, which was nice. He finished second to Donovan Mitchell in terms of scoring, had 20 points, 9 rebounds, blocked 2 shots, had 2 assists as well. So another solid night for him. And again, it's not that you need Evan to score 30 a night, right? But it's the consistency of, are you seeing the signs that he wants to attack, that he wants to be aggressive?
Did he have tonight?
He had 16. He made 9.
That's healthy.
Yeah. And that you're 100% right in that. Like, that's what you're looking for, is like the unicorn talk. Like, I think that put a certain expectation in people's minds, like what he was going to bring to the table. I don't think Evan at this point is ever going to be like a consistent, like 30 point per game night. And that's okay. He doesn't have to be. But what I'm encouraged by is his willingness to continue to attack. There was a play, I forget who stepped out to defend him, but like somebody stepped out to defend him and sort of jammed into him a little bit. And he kept going, and then made this sort of like fade away jump shot off to his left. And it was like this beautiful play where I was like, that's what he needs to keep doing. It's like, don't get turned away just because the first guy sort of gives you some physicality. Keep attacking. Find ways to get those baskets to fall. That's the encouraging thing with Evan Mobley right now. Again, it doesn't have to show up in the box scores like, oh, he dropped 29, 30, whatever points. As long as he's doing that consistently, I think the Cavs are in good shape, and they should feel good about where Evan's at as they get ready for this sort of, spring stretch, the winter into spring stretch, and then obviously the playoffs down the line. Yeah,
no, and I liked the way that Evan attacked. Kenny said that he's been getting more straight line drive heavy instead of going side to side and trying to kind of play with his food a little bit. I feel like when you're attacking, you're lowering the shoulder, and watch all the tape. He goes left, he goes left, he goes left, and usually finishes right too. He did finish left over Paolo in Orlando the other night. That was a heck of a finish, by the way. But it just looks like there's a game plan with Evan right now, and he knows when he can attack and who to attack. And he's making good reads right now, and that's all you can ask for of Evan. But I kind of wanted to flip the subject, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, you're fine. We're just kind of rapid firing like we always do for these post games. We go through everything. So.
Yeah, no. Jalen Tyson was named to the Rising Stars team before the game started, and I think he deserves a lot of love. We've talked about it enough on this podcast, but it's a situation that demands attention because I love the way that he was in the press conference tonight, and you guys can see it on Cavs Roundtable YouTube channel. It's just like, he's so humble, like for someone his age. Like you can see a ton of guys across the league that are very much so I. He's a we type guy. Okay.
Yeah.
And
he was asked about like, how excited are you? Like, what does it mean? And he was like, yeah, it's great, but I want to be an all-star one day. Like he keeps things in perspective, which I think is important too.
Yeah. And on top of that, he was asked about like, because Donovan called for him to be most improved when he had that 40-point game or 39-point game in Philadelphia. And someone asked Jalen straight up, like, do you believe you should be in the most improved conversation? And Donovan looks over and he's like, don't you dare be humble. And so Jalen ended up, giving himself some props for one. And thankfully, because he deserves to have some shine the way he's been playing, the way that he's consistently come out, defended top guys, shot the 3 ball. He's top 3 in the league right now for 3-point percentage or top 5, whatever it is. Just know he's one of the best shooters in the league at the moment. He is top 15 in effective field goal percentage, which is not easy to do. And it's the efficiency in which he's played. But what's more remarkable about Jalen Tyson to me, I don't think anyone's talking about nearly enough, is this guy played under 10 minutes a game last year. He's playing damn near 30 right now a night for a team that wants to contend for a championship. Tell me who else does that on a team where you're a rookie last year, you're basically out of the rotation, you're not playing. Shoot, the whole second half of the season, as soon as DeAndre Hunter got here, he was just an afterthought.
Yeah.
Like in terms of the rotation. And
he has made Kenny have to play it.
He's forced his hand. He's going to be a guy that you have to have. Shoot, he might even stay in the starting lineup at this rate the way he's playing.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing to see his development, but like this is rapid development. I don't think I've ever seen someone go to a 20-minute jump like this, improve your production. You're one of the most efficient players in the NBA, not just on the Cavs, in the NBA. And you're consistently out there giving the same effort, the same grit that has been the story for the Cavs all year long. As much as there's been ups and downs, one constant has remained, and that's the young guys' energy, the young guys' grit, the way that they've played has been consistent. Jalen Tyson, Craig Porter Jr., Nae'Qwan Tomlin, Tyrese Proctor, all of those guys. You go down the list on the young, inexperienced guys, and they have brought it to the table.
And
so that's
like
what's huge.
It feels like that starts with Jalen.
It does.
I feel like Jalen sort of rallies those guys because they see how hard a guy who's in his second year is playing, and they're like, well, I got to play like that. You know what I mean? So I again, we could every night we can wax poetic about Donovan. I feel like we're starting to say the same thing with Jalen, with just the energy he brings, how effective he's been, the rise that he's kind of quickly gone on here from last year to this year. It can't be said enough. If this team's going places, if this team's going to make a run in the playoffs, all those things, Jalen Tyson is going to be a major part of that. Coming up down the road here, obviously, I think that's very fair to say. Like like you said, he might be in the starting lineup, like because he's been that important. I think ultimately, I think in an ideal world, they want Sam out there for the shooting part of that, but at the same time, like Jalen's proven effective in that role too, and it might be something where like that becomes a switch in a series where maybe one game Sam doesn't have it, and the next night you're like, we're going to put Jalen out there for a different energy and see what that kind of brings. Like that is now something that Kenny Atkinson has up his sleeve in a playoff series. And I think that's massive. So I echo those sentiments that there's just, we could go on and on about Jalen Tyson for sure.
He's just a ball of energy, man.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I feel like every time I see him touch the ball from the perimeter and he's spotting up, it's going in. I don't think it's grazing iron the way that he's shooting right now. It's insane. He entered the night 46% from deep.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It is insane.
He's shooting 51.2% from the field overall. That's
nuts.
He's not a big man, guys. This is a guy who's 6'6", out on the wing, and he's shooting jump shots. He's shooting driving floaters. These are not all easy shots.
No.
He's had a great rapport with Donovan in the two-man game now, the short roll, the half roll, whatever you want to call it. And what I liked about tonight that is kind of branching off of that two-man game, which just usually reverted into a floater, or maybe Donovan rejects it and Jalen pops out to the perimeter or anything like that. No, when Jalen caught it tonight in the pocket, he was making the extra pass because you had Dean Wade cutting from the corner, or you had Nae'Qwan Tomlin cutting from the corner. So when you put the extra pass and do the two-man action, whoo, boy, you're going to get shifting on the defense, and it's going to give you some nightmares. So the fact that he's been able to develop that in half a season with one of the best players in the NBA, I think that's huge.
Yeah. Well, and once he cleans up, we've talked about some of the growing pains of a young player that he's had. We talked about that last game. You know, that's normal, right? Like, that's normal for any young player. So
he did it again tonight.
Yeah.
He was, I think it was coming up the floor. He was handling. Donovan tried to set a screen. Donovan popped off. He tried to get it to Donovan on a ramp pass and ended up turning it over because he threw it a little too far out of bounds.
It happens.
It happens.
It happens. Like, as he cleans those up, he's just going to become an even better player. Yeah. But like, he's learning as he goes, and that's just been remarkable. All right. Final thoughts, Spence. Anything that we didn't highlight or talk about before we get out of here that stood out from this game as we set the stage for, obviously, the Lakers and LeBron coming to town on Wednesday?
Yeah, no, I think that we haven't really talked about Dean Wade enough since he's come back. I know that the game against OKC wasn't his best. That's also because he was coming back from a knee contusion. That's understandable. He played 16 minutes, didn't feel like himself, right? I think since then, Dean's been tremendous. And it's just like the next play stuff that he does. It's
the little things.
It's the little things, the down the stretch, you know, getting some big time deflections or a strip like he did in Sacramento. He did the same thing in Charlotte. Like, he has this knack of making timely plays, but also just like doing the simple stuff. Defensive rebounding, huge, Dean Wade. I think seeing how spry he looked tonight was big time. Being willing to catch and knock down the three is big, but I also like when he does pump fake, he takes that one dribble and then he passes it to the next guy because it gets the ball swinging. And he's the main guy that does that. And Kenny called him the ultimate glue guy the other night. I think that's pretty spot on. They need to do whatever they can do to keep him fresh, keep him healthy, because they're going to need him. Especially if they're going to hang on to him and he's not going to go anywhere at the trade deadline. They got to do something with him. And the way he defends, he is such a hybrid weapon for Kenny on the defensive end, because he's, 6'8", 6'9", whatever he is, but he's got that power forward like weight, but that small forward length. So it's somebody that really brings a lot of importance to this team. And I think people look at the box score and they get it twisted, and they shouldn't, because you can see when he's having a good game how much the Cavs feed off of that. And I think Donovan even went out and said something about it on when talking to Gab Cruz on Saturday in Orlando. Like, it was a great little exchange about Dean and how important he is to this team. And he's a different type of player, low usage guy, but I think deserves a ton of credit because he's clearly getting the results for the Cavs when he does play with the main guys.
What I'll say about Dean is this: it doesn't hurt to have more wing players on your roster, right? That's been a problem for this team over the years. They've always coveted those guys, and they haven't had them, and now they finally have more of a surplus of them than they did before, with DeAndre Hunter getting added to the mix, obviously, last year. So it's not a problem to have them. The biggest thing is you wish, he was more consistent offensively. Like, if you could get some of those nights, like I think back to that Celtics game where he was like the catalyst for that great comeback. Like that, those types of things. I'm not saying he has to do that every night, but like if you could get some of that every night, you'd feel a little bit better about his place on this roster, which is why he's in trade rumors and things. But it doesn't hurt to have a guy like that, because there might be a night in a playoff series where he comes in, he gets hot, and he helps you win a game. And his defensive end effort and some of the other little things that we talked about that he does is also huge for this team at times. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for us as we conclude this post-game conversation. Final score again, 114-98. Cavs take down Orlando. Back-to-back wins against Orlando, 4 straight, as we mentioned as well. So Cavs are starting to sort of get things back on track despite all the injuries and things, and they'll look to keep the streak going against an old friend, LeBron James, coming to town with the Lakers on Wednesday. I think they were in Chicago tonight, so they're continuing to head east. And it's a game that, I mean, there were some questions asked post-game about the idea that this could be LeBron's last game potentially in this arena. I don't necessarily believe that that's true because I think he wants to do his little farewell tour at some point, but there is a chance it's the last game he plays in this arena. So I'm sure there'll be some, high emotions and plenty of people that sort of pack the arena to see him return here to Cleveland.
And good basketball too, man. I mean, I know that the Lakers, they have this kind of, stigma about them when it comes to the franchise the last few years, and obviously what's been in the news cycle with the the Buss family and whatnot. But I'll tell you what, they're playing some better basketball. Loving what I'm seeing from Marcus Smart on their team. I think Jared Vanderbilt is somebody that you're really going to have to find a way to get past him defensively, because he is a stalwart on that end of the floor. You want another obvious game plan. You have to make sure that Luka Doncic doesn't drop 40 on your head while also giving out 16 assists and grabbing 12 boards, because Luka is that good offensively. They're going to have to figure out a way to attack him, though, because defensively he is obviously lacking on that end. So it'll be a fun one. I think, obviously, anytime LeBron comes to town, it's very fun. But their team's playing better basketball. I've been paying attention to them a pretty good amount. Rui Hachimura, I think he's been giving them some good stuff. DeAndre Ayton's up and down. But even the guys off the bench have contributed to them. So Jake LaRavia, for example, Jake LaRavia is having a really, really fun year too. And they've been doing this all without Austin Reeves. So looking forward to that matchup for the Cavs. Some healthy competition
for sure.
To take on for sure.
For sure. And I'll say this, whether it's LeBron's last game or not, anytime he returns, there's always going to be, especially with those with everything going on with the Buss family and all the drama with the Lakers right now, it's always going to spark conversations about whether or not he could be playing for the Cavs again at some point. So
he's going to say something.
He's going to drop a quote. He's going to drop a quote about, like, I always is nice coming back here. I hope it's not the last time, and I hope it's maybe not even the last time. Maybe it's the last time I'm doing it in the visitors' locker room, but not the other lot. Like, he'll say something. He knows how to play the game. So we'll see what all unfolds with that. But certainly going to be plenty of reason to tune into that game on Wednesday. Spence and I will be back. We'll have you covered here from the arena, pre-game, post-game, all that good stuff. So make sure, if you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, that you subscribe now. Cavs Roundtable. We got our post-game press coverages up there as well from tonight. We'll have that again for you on Wednesday and throughout the rest of the season. Plus, head on over to CavsRoundtable.com, read our written content. Going to be working on a story the rest of the night just about how, frankly, feels like the Cavs are kind of back to being themselves with the way they've played of late. We'll get you that. We'll get you plenty more stuff. Make sure you just keep on following along with all things Cleveland Cavaliers with CavsRoundtable.com.